Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're watching the GSL Talk Show. Tonight, we're going to be talking to a true power couple, Mr. and Mrs. Heath. So stay tuned as they share with us about chameleon love and much, much more.
That I'm not the type of girl that goes. Yeah, it's a miracle, baby. You wishing I would have a one night affair.
Welcome back to the GSL Talk Show. As you can see, I'm here with this lovely couple, Mr. and Mrs. Da'Von and Jen Heath. How you doing?
Hey,
Welcome to the GSL Talk Show.
thank you for having us.
Yes. Happy to be here.
Yes, I'm glad to have you all here too. I would just get straight into my first question to say, hey, just introduce yourself. But I gotta say, me and this lady right here, we go way back. She knew me way back when, back in them high school days. So, I can't start without putting that on the table.
Uh-oh.
Look, she knew hopeful, romantic, miracle way back before the cultivation period. So that's
but
a whole nother.
I could say though that it was always the same. It was the bubbly, the outward personality, the do it all, just try it type. That's always been you. And so this is not a surprise. This is not a surprise to me that you're still outward and acting and doing all the things, because you did all the things ever since I've known you. So,
I appreciate that. Look,
see things come full circle.
That's so true. That is so true. And I said I have to let the people know how this lady came into just stormed into the town as the new girl, had all the guys' attention. Look, sorry, Mr. Da'Von, sorry, Mr. Da'Von.
Nah,
You married her, so you know.
I was about to say I'm gonna have to talk to you off camera about her.
Listen, look, the new girl down the hallway, like boom, boom. I said, oh, okay.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
It's funny thing because he said I was not. I've always been an introvert. And he was like, "Have you always been like that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've never been like super loud. Do you remember me ever being like loud or?"
Maybe you probably wasn't, but I think it's just your one as a new girl, everybody's gonna always be like, oh, this the new girl here, vibes. But then this lady, she had the little runway walk to go with it and all of that, to where even if she didn't say nothing, her presence was known. I have arrived, I'm here. And I'm in y'all's little town to shake some stuff up.
Listen, it's the God thing. You show up and you show up like I'm supposed to be here, right?
That wasn't no guy to you back then.
Yes, it was. Always
no guy to you back
always
then.
Has been. Always has been.
Yeah, okay.
He know. It's so funny. Well, I talk about your walk, whatever the case may be. I know my mom say something like, "Oh, that's just natural," It's a natural one. It's not I'm trying to, but who knows, man? People have.
No, I mean it's been a thing. It's been a thing. Then I'm pigeon-toed, so that didn't help, right?
I don't know what you talk. I don't know about that. Maybe she is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you did, didn't you? I feel like we talked about it or something back then, and but you were like, "Well, it's not something I'm trying to do."
No, because people. I got bullied a lot for that. Like the girls are really mean and rude, and you know how kids are, right? And we always say, I was like, man, what would kids do if they lived back in the time when we grew up? Because kids are cruel. Like they didn't care. But it was one of those things where you're just like, try not to do something to be accepted or anything like that. But I had to realize, like, that's just you. That's just you, Jen. And then, like you said, coming into a new school, I think I got there in like 11th grade, maybe when I was a junior or so. So it was quite the adjustment. And then I was in band, and that's another. a whole nother thing. So yeah, so you and I go back. So you
Yeah,
might
yeah.
be off.
I know were we in a class? Because I feel like, how do we
I
connect?
think
I don't
we
even remember
were.
now. But
You weren't in band? You weren't in
no,
band?
well, I was on the color guard at one point.
Okay.
In my senior year though. Just that one year, I should have did it the whole time because it was
Yeah.
fun. But were you weren't on the color
A lot
guard?
of clubs. I was in a lot of clubs.
Um,
Well, gosh, the
was it
year
chorus? It could have been chorus.
it could
'Cause
have
I feel
been
like
chorus.
there were
Maybe
mixed
briefly.
grades and ages in it. Cause you're a year above me.
Yeah, I
2004.
was, but it was also like the year. I think I was on yearbook. I was in some of the honors classes. I don't know. I just know we.
Probably the Glee Club or
The,
something like that.
he was like, "You're such a
Important.
nerd. You were really a nerd, weren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was."
Geek 101, all that.
Look, and then look at his side of town, he's probably the jock walking down, and
And he
doing
was.
all the
It
girls,
was. I'm glad that you said that.
quarterback or something,
Well known, played all the sports.
See, see?
Principal let him do anything he wanted.
Oh,
And then high school
mhm.
fun for me.
Everybody, yeah, I knew everybody.
I had a good old time in high school.
Oh,
Never
goodness.
met a stranger. So if I was the nerd, he was the jock. So there you go. Like, how do they even come together?
No clue.
Look,
Still trying to figure
opposites
it out.
attract, or whatever the other little phrases people like to say.
Right.
Well, don't look, we'll be long out time reminiscing. I don't want to, I know y'all busy people, but yeah, go ahead and share with the audience, just a little bit about yourselves and what you guys have going on.
All right. I'm going to kick us off.
So again, I'm Da'Von, that's Jen. We've been married for coming up on 11 years. We've been together for 14 years. We have 3 sons. Our oldest Tyson is 10. Our middle Ace is 6, and our youngest Kano is 4. He'll be 5 in like 2 months, 3 months. So we have a house full. Nevertheless, it's full of sports and cars and activities and all things boys, right? So, but in the midst of all that, we have a brand called Chameleon Love, and our brand is growing rapidly. We've had that brand for since 2018.
Yeah.
It was birthed in the toughest season of our marriage, actually, and we've just continued to form that, to cultivate it, to grow it, to modify it into what we believe love should look like and what works for us. And we want to share that. Our mission is to share that with everyone. And if it works for you, cool. If it doesn't, cool. Not everything is for everybody, but this, I believe, is the best fit for us. And I think a lot of people will benefit from it. And so we've been doing that. And recently we became relationship coaches. So we are certified relationship coaches now. So that is also something that is starting to take a form of life in itself. So that's kind of a shortcut to what we've been up to thus far.
Yeah, and for Da'Von to expand to what he was saying, like we are reinventing how we do love. And our brand is about showing people that the more that you love yourself, the better you can love others. And self-love is the truest, most deepest love one could ever have. And it's the greatest gift one could ever give. And knowing that you can only love yourself, you can only love others as deep as you love yourself. And so what we realize is that you have to ask yourself, when you think of a surface level love, think about how well you love yourself. And so we were talking to people about getting into relationship and going into love. We are going to ask you one of the top questions. Do you love yourself? And do you love God? Right? Because our 2 things is that the formula to Chameleon Love is ultimately self-love plus God's love equals unconditional love. And unconditional love is how you do chameleon love. And that is really what Chameleon Love is all about. It's loving people where they are, for who they are, starting with yourself, and not having to give someone you in order to have a healthy relationship with them. So not overextend yourself. the overcompensating, the people pleasing that we've been taught in the past. Having to feel like you have to give so much to get something. You don't. Maybe you just have to give more to yourself so that you can extend more. Or maybe you can set healthy boundaries for yourself, so maybe you can set those healthy boundaries for people that are close to you, that are next to you, people that you're trying to have relationship with, and reassessing and redoing that relationship from a different standpoint. And so Chameleon Love is one of those things that has helped us to become more intentional about loving ourselves. I think it has been one of the things that has taught me personally how to appreciate myself, how to appreciate my worth, and him loving himself. We just talked about it this morning, right? I said I think him loving himself taught me how to appreciate myself as well.
Man, so much great, good things coming from all of that. I mean, first starting off with those 11 years, man, to God be the glory for that. First of all, let's go ahead and clap it up, because I mean, again, in this world where marriage is just looked at as, a piece of paper, not worth it for a man, all that different type of stuff you see all over social media all the time. It's such a beautiful thing to see, a happy, thriving couple, and a beautiful family, I would say, as well. Because I mean, even though we haven't chatted since all those years ago, I mean, we did reconnect on social media, and it's a blessing to be able to see, the photos of you and your beautiful family and things of that nature. And each one of the little boys and stuff. I got my little guy myself and everything, and he's 5, and think listen,
everything. We have one.
I get it.
Like, it. I'm like, you just got here. Like, mommy knows some things as well. Like, but I mean, and just the whole thing is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so when it comes to, I would say, the ministry, right, of Chameleon Love, like, I would love to. Well, first, like, can we get into, like, how did you guys meet and things like that? I mean, it's been a little while since I had a couple on here, so it's nice to kind of hear people's love stories and stuff, if y'all don't mind now. But like, how you guys meet and all that good stuff.
We pride ourselves in being transparent, but so we met February 2nd, 2009, and I know that because we started working at Wachovia then, but Wells Fargo now.
Wachovia.
Yeah. That's how old we are. So we started working there on that day, and we were in the same training class. So we met, she sat down in front of me. There's a whole training room full of vacant seats. She sat down in front of me. I'm like, okay, I know what this is about. I know.
Okay.
I said, I recognize what this is. So, over the course of that time period, we started, just kind of getting to know each other in the training class and stuff. Now, she had a boyfriend, and because I was young and thugging back then, I ain't care. So, that kind of went down that road. Maybe not the best way to, start a friendship / relationship, but hey,
we didn't expect anything.
It happens, right? It happens. So it happened. We became friends, and we just really enjoyed each other's company, the most. We enjoyed, laughing and traveling and doing all kinds of stuff that we would come to find out through that year of getting to know each other. And so when, she was kind of already headed for a breakup deal anyway. And so when they finally entered Splitsville, I was like, hey, buddy, let me comfort you a little bit. And so, we took it from there. That was in 2009. And we really didn't start our relationship, like a technical relationship, until 2010. And then it moved pretty rapidly from there. We got engaged in 2011, like late 2011. We got married in 2013. So, it wasn't like we dated for years and years and years or anything like that. We met at work. We loved each other's company. we were good friends
Yeah.
before. Like
We
our
were really good
foundation was
friends.
started as friends, and it still is a solid part of our foundation is our friendship. And so that's something that's always remained intact. And yeah, that's we got the rapping, and that's how it happened.
Oh, now look, that's his version. What's your version? I'll just play. No, but I think even that part that you shared is just a beautiful thing. Again, the friendship bond is definitely important. And I mean, hey, they say when you know, you know. Did you know rather quickly that this was your lady, or
I knew she had qualities that I would love to have in a woman.
mm,
And one of those qualities was she was very nurturing.
Which I had
mm,
no idea
And
that's
and
what he was
so
seeing.
and so that's what that was one of the really major things that kind of drew me to her. So no, I didn't know she was gonna be my wife and be the mother of my children, nothing like that. But I
mm,
knew that she had qualities that I liked. And I was willing to be patient through her growth as she was with mine to find it out.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
And
so
I didn't know. I didn't know. I met him and I said to myself, like, I don't want to get married. I didn't in my head, I was still telling myself, I'm not getting married, I'm not having kids, I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm gonna have fun, have a friendship, and then I'm moving. And
sweet.
focus on my career, and that was pretty much it. And then I didn't think
Mm,
any of those things until I met him. And when you meet someone, that's the part when you know you know. You meet
mm,
someone that gives you a good different perspective. It gives you a mindset shift, exposes you to what could be, exposes
mm,
you to the best of what could be. I think it's
mm,
just one of those things where you just start thinking like, all right, God, you got to show me something because I'm not going to see this or I'm not going to receive this if you don't give it to me.
mm,
And that was really the thing for him. I was not looking for this. I didn't think it was going to be anything. But our friendship was so amazing. Our time together was, I mean, we were inseparable when it came down to friendship and doing things that didn't require much money. We didn't have much. We weren't we weren't making but 25,000 at the bank. So neither one of us had much to financially give, but we had a lot of emotional, mental, psychological, like all of those gifts, all of those things were gifts. So we tapped into those, and that made us really initiate and really set a good friendship boundary, a friendship's foundation, I would say, because we don't have to have much to have fun. And we are still like that. We will laugh till
Mhm.
3, 4 o'clock in the morning, wake our kids up. I'm loud and obnoxious.
Very loud and obnoxious.
But the laughter, I think, is the biggest thing, is that I just have never laughed so much in dating or being married. Never,
mm.
never laughed so much in my life till I met this guy.
Oh, that's so sweet. Look, oh, I just thought about while y'all was talking. I said, oh, this might be a warning for them folks that y'all got people when they got work bays. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Hey,
Well,
listen. To my defense, I'm gonna tell the story.
Oh,
So
you can tell the story.
I'm gonna tell the story. So taking you back to 2009 when we was in this training class,
Ah.
and we were coming from lunch, and I asked her. I said, you got a boyfriend? And she was like, yeah, but I mean, I ain't married. You can't tell a young player from the Himalaya that. I was like, oh, okay. Say less.
I needed him to know. I'm telling the truth.
She needed me to know, and I knew.
mhm,
I knew.
mhm.
I pick up really well on social cues. So I was like, okay.
I mean, I didn't.
So
And
Mhm.
they were already headed to Splitsville. So it's not like I was in there
yeah.
just, you know what I'm saying, drawing a wedge. I wasn't trying to be no home wrecker. But she initiated this. So
I mean, and then from a woman's perspective, when you know that's not it for you, you know, there's intuition, there's discernment, there's
Mhm.
all the excuses you tell yourself to stay and why you should, and the pity parties and all of the don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, no, don't want to make anyone upset, people please your way through some things.
Mhm.
For me, it was survival. So I people please to survive in a lot of ways. And so with him, he was the first one that I was actually honest with to with my emotions. And so I didn't feel like I needed to sugarcoat anything with him. And never, needless to say, he just wasn't that type of guy. He wasn't sugarcoating it. He wasn't making it comfortable for me. And so
But I also wasn't letting her knowingly lie to me either. Like I would call her out on her BS all the time. I'm like, listen, I know that's a lie. So you want to go ahead and start telling me the truth, because I'm not believing that story.
I definitely manipulated those relationships in a way that worked for me. Again, it was a defense mechanism. I didn't have the healthiest relationship with my father, and so of course for me going into relationship with a man, I didn't see where I owed them anything. I didn't see where it was worth it. I didn't I found myself asking, why should I give anything? Why should I give you the truth? Why do you deserve it? Well, I'm not going to be here, in my mind thinking like, this is not my husband. I'm not marrying him. I'm not going to be here for long. So yeah, all of these things that you're thinking, I'm like, well, what's the big deal? And
I was thinking, I don't want to start something if it goes there. Like I don't want to start it on lies, because then I gotta backtrack. If it does go to something, I gotta backtrack a year and a half worth of lies to try to readjust and tell the truth. So I was like, and plus I wasn't involved with anyone at the time. So, you know what I'm saying? Like not in terms of like relationship. So it was just like, all right, well, I'm gonna tell her the truth. If she don't like it, then she just don't like it. Yeah. And she either can accept it or not. And that's, and that's kind of how it went. And so from there, I think we both appreciated the upfrontness of it.
And the honesty.
And the honesty, and it just grew.
That's awesome. Like, and hey, look, no judgment from me. I know my story. Those that follow here on GSL, I've shared my story over and over again. But long story short, I guess for y'all, just in case you don't know, it was kind of sort of like a transition as well, like a situation that I had just gotten out of. And I guess technically, when I met my husband, he would have been considered a rebound or something like that, because of how close it was. Where I just got out of something, and then I met him then, but. I was telling a friend of mine this yesterday, actually, because she was asking me, do you feel like you were ready when you met him? And I think I always wanted love, and I always desired it and things like that. But then when I met my husband, because of the nature of me just getting out of the relationship that I knew was done months prior, so I can totally relate to all that you just said. Like I was holding on and trying to, maybe even people please and whatnot, to be considerate of that person. And then at some point I had to ask them, or I had to ask myself as well, like, who's loving me right now while I'm trying to do my best to love you in every way? Like you're not doing that for me, And so anyway, so I basically, when I met my husband, I had to ask myself, you know what, at the end of the day, you knew that situation was done with the previous guy. And just because it ended when it ended doesn't mean like I shouldn't like recognize what's in front of me. At the end of the day, again, I guess I like to say, mama ain't raised no fool at the end of the day. Like I see a great guy in front of me. Why am I going to sit here and keep crying or being sad about the other situation that I knew was done? So I'll just try it again. Like he asked me twice. My husband, he asked me twice to be his girl after that situation. And the first time he asked me, it was my ex's birthday, and I just felt like it was just weird. So I was like, I don't know, this is weird. All of this is weird now because And so he waited a few days later and asked me again. I was like, you know what? Okay, I guess I'll try this thing again. Even though it's a whole thing, because people were telling me back in my single days, back when I called the cultivation period and whatnot. They would tell me all the time, oh, just stop looking. It'll come when you're not looking, and all this different type of stuff. But the problem with me was I was always looking. So so that one little split second when I was, that ex that moved on, I said to the Lord, I was like, I'll try love again next year. I just need to get back to where I used to be and stuff like that, And then that same day is when, that I guess the Lord was like, we only got this little bit of
Yep.
Go ahead and send them. Go ahead and send them. Yes. Like, go ahead and send them. And so, I mean, I just think it's so like awesome to hear people's love stories and how it started. And so with you guys being, past your a decade and things like that, like, and all the things you guys have been through between now and then, like, what are you guys feeling now? You know, when you look back on those days and you look back on the beginning of your relationship and all the amazing things you guys have built together, like, what? How are you guys feeling like when you're looking back, basically?
It's pretty surreal for me. It really is. It's surreal for me because I once didn't see myself here, but now that I'm here, I'm seeing all of the things that we've accomplished together, but also all the things that I've accomplished in being married and being a mom of three boys. And you go from growing up with three brothers to having three boys. So I have three brothers
Wow.
and I'm
Oh.
the only girl. And so it was an interesting dynamic where I saw my dad he wasn't able to give, my parents weren't able to give us what we needed growing up. And
Mm,
especially with my father, with my boys. And so
mm,
they were neglected in that area emotionally, right?
mm,
And of course you can't give what you don't have, and so I recognize that. But to be married to someone who is intentional about being a great husband, a great father, a great person, above all else, he's just a great man. And I think about that and I'm like, wow, this really is a beautiful thing that we built. Um, we can't even focus so much on what we didn't have because he's so faithful in showing us why we had to take that journey and the journey now. So
mm.
I love it here. I love doing life with him. I love us doing life together. I love what we have. I love what we're building. I love what we are teaching and coaching other people to do. I love how we are able to serve and love together and to really build relationships in a way that give people hope. And that's it. I'm
Listen,
winning.
look.
I feel like I'm winning in life, and I used to feel like you can't, don't celebrate yourself too much. It's not humble or anything
Mm,
like that. But I realized like that's self sabotage too. Like no, celebrate yourself, celebrate your wins, acknowledge
mm,
how much you've grown, and be
mm.
and it's okay to be happy in that and to share that too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel like you can't go wrong. You give him glory and honor to the Lord. At the end of the day, then yeah, celebrate those wins. Shout it from the rooftops. At the end of the day, your testimony is speaking volumes to those that need to see it and hear it and things like that. So that's such an amazing thing. It's so I don't know how you feeling, Mr. Da'Von,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's
Yeah,
just such a wonderful thing to hear like, a wife speak so highly of her husband. Because again, we know that men are taking a beating right now these days. People are looking down on you guys and stuff like that. So it's awesome to hear that there are men out there that are, being great men, husbands, and fathers, and I'm sure you can see. I only have our one son, and I already see like the dynamic and the importance of having both me and my husband, you know,
yeah,
sewing into him, and stuff like that. And I couldn't even imagine trying to either do it alone or and all of that type of stuff, and which I know is a thing that unfortunately a lot of people are dealing with. So I would love to, hear your perspective on these things as well, little
yeah.
brother Da'Von,
So
but
I look at it from the sense of both her and I grew up in broken homes, right? We
mm,
saw the the abuse, we saw the domestic violence, we saw the arguments, the dysfunction, right? We
mhm,
both grew up in those same type of households. Her parents divorced. My mom and dad divorced when I was 3, but then my mom got remarried to my stepdad, who was a pretty crappy guy, and then I saw most of that dysfunction during that marriage.
mm,
And then they divorced. And so it was like, you know, with us both growing up in dysfunction, it can go one or two ways. Either we can continue the dysfunction or we can decide to do something different. And I think both of
mm,
us we were at a point to where it was like, I don't want my relationship to look like that. Like maybe I don't know how to necessarily be a husband, but I know what it's not supposed to look like. At least I knew that part growing up. So at least I had
mm,
half of it figured out, that I
mm,
know I shouldn't be beating on my wife. I know I shouldn't be disrespecting her constantly, calling her out her name and all that stuff. So
mhm,
when I look at when I look going back and looking at it, at least I knew what I wasn't supposed to be doing. And
mm,
I was like, okay, I can figure out my way from there. I'm pretty savvy. I got a lot of street smarts, but I also got a lot of book smarts too. So, I kind of got the best of both worlds with that, and I was like, let me figure that way out. Like I'm not very argumentative, though. I will. We have gotten into a lot of obviously heated discussions as any couple does, but it's never came to me calling her out of her name, me putting my hands on her or anything like that close to it, because I already saw that, and I was like, why would I want to project that type of feeling on someone that I say I love? So I knew I needed to try to show her some type of conditional love, whatever that looked like. At that time, I didn't know necessarily what I looked like, but now I know that love doesn't have conditions on it. If it has conditions on it, it's not love. So I was like, okay, well, at least I can grow from here. And just, going into that part, and then us, getting married, not really knowing technically what a husband should be doing, but knew I had to figure it out. Like, I've never had a couple when I was growing up that I could look up to and be like, okay, that's what I want to be like. That's what I want my marriage to be like.
Right.
I didn't have that. I didn't have that in my grandparents. I didn't have that in my parents. I didn't have that in the aunt and the uncle. So it was just like, okay, I got to figure out how to do this by myself. And that's what I did. I set out to do that, and I still set out. It's an ongoing process, right? But going into parenthood, it's like, okay, my dad was in my life. He wasn't physically present, but he was always there, always a call away. If I ever needed him, I could call. I went and go, I would see him in the summertime. I would go hang out with him in the summers because I lived in South Carolina. He lived in Jersey. So there was a distance that kept us apart. But, he still was a good dad to me. I just didn't have that physical presence in the house. And so I'm like, with my kids, I told her yesterday, I was like, man, I can really see the difference of having an active, involved dad in the house. Because with my boys, when they start giving her a hard time, because inevitably, boys are going to give their mom a hard time at some point. They feel like it's just in us. We feel like we're more dominant. We can do certain things. And she's so soft-spoken. And so, she can get stern with them if she needs to. But for the most part, she's mom. She's loving. She's nurturing. She's soft-spoken. So she tells one of them, hey, you need to go do your homework. They're, no, I don't do my homework. Da, da, da. I come in there, hey, what your mama say? Oh, all right, Dad. It's night and day, and sometimes that's all boys need is just that male figure, that voice. Sometimes it's the tone of the voice. Sometimes they know, okay, dad ain't playing around. Let me go ahead and do what I need to do. So just recognizing those important things about fatherhood, about being a husband, and that's a whole breakdown of things. I'm sure we can go down a rabbit hole with that, but those are the things that I'm most excited about, is just continuously put myself in a position to win in fatherhood, put myself in a position to win as being a husband, and knowing that I can't make her happy, but because that has to come from within, but knowing that I can continue to keep her in a place where she can continue to be happy, in a happy place and space.
Yeah, and I want to mention Da'Von has a solid, like his faith is so deep. And I think that was the biggest thing for me. I've never met someone that sat in the car and prayed for me. Like the moment I was going through some things, and he would just sit in the car and just pray. And so I think that was one of the biggest things there for me. But him to be faith filled and to be faithful in that, I was like, wow, I can follow a man that follows God. Like I can do that because he's going to come differently. He's going to receive me differently. He's going to approach me differently. That doesn't mean that he's perfect, but he's going to try to do things differently. And that's what allows me to be able to be in my soft girl era. Like I've never had that position to be soft. And so when I look at that, I'm like, wow, you really allow me to be that woman, like that soft and gentle person that I don't have to fight. I don't have to to be on the defense. I don't have to, I don't have to prepare for war. Like I'm covered. And so
Mm.
even these years later, he covers us. I see our boys looking at him and how he prays and lead this family, and how my mom has always given me a spiritual foundation. But at some point you have to take that and decide what to do with it. And so for
Mm.
me, I just didn't really have an understanding. I had the foundation, but I didn't have an understanding of what it was to live it out.
Mm.
And so he came in and showed me what faith looks like. And that's where we got right now.
Man, listen, I think I'm just crying on the inside. It's just so beautiful because like there's just so many things again there that what you just shared and you both testimonies because even just thinking about again what Brother Devon was saying about not having that example anywhere around him and knowing that he couldn't be like any of the things he witnessed and so maybe he did go through this journey of like I guess feeling like he was alone trying to figure it all out. We know that he wasn't alone, but
Right.
but when you feel like again you don't have any examples around you, you don't have any male figure or presence or whatever the case may be, or couple or whatever to look up to. Unfortunately, a lot of us we try to fill that void with everything else, right? We try to fill it with the, I guess people on TV or people, what other people imagine that power couples are. But to me, you guys are definitely a power couple because from what I'm hearing, you guys are breaking generational curses by
Mm-hmm.
you guys getting where you are today. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Again, I know there's ups and downs. And again, I'm sure you guys will say neither one of us is perfect because I say that all the time about me and my husband, but I do feel like he's perfect for me, and I feel like that's what I'm hearing from you all,
Yeah.
and whatnot as well. And so,
Yeah.
let
No,
me
that's
all talk. Let me,
no, you
Those
you
generational
right on
curses.
par. You right on par with it. And she mentioned it, but the biggest pillar in our marriage and honestly our relationship since I've known her has been our spirituality. Like
mm,
I wasn't I've always felt like a strong connection to God. It's even as a kid, even when my mom and my stepdad, we would go to church, and then eventually when it started getting really bad in their relationship, they stopped going. But as a
mm,
teenager, I kept going. So I would
Mhm.
drive myself to
mm,
church. And I would prayer was always something that was prevalent to me. And
mm,
so when even through college and when I graduated, when I met her, I was going to a particular church. She was going to a particular church, and she invited me. She was like, "Hey, won't you come to my church?" I'm like, "Yeah, cool, let's go." Like, and I would drive 30 minutes just to meet her at her church. And yeah, I did
mm,
pray for her in her car a couple of times and pray over her. And that's just something that I've never been shy about. I've never been afraid to pray for somebody. I've never been afraid to pray out loud. Because that's just how I feel his presence flows through me. And so
mhm,
our spirituality has always been a foundational pillar in our relationship. And I think that's one of the things, or I feel like I know that's one of the things that's kept our relationship strong. It's
Yeah.
kept it going. It's kept our pride lower in our relationship.
mm,
So we don't let pride get in front of what we have in the bigger picture. And
mhm,
so, yeah, like that relationship, that God that we continue to seek. Like it's not
Yeah.
like,
oh yeah,
okay, I still got the same relationship with God from 2009. No, it's
Mhm.
we continue to seek a
mm,
greater relationship to continuously build a covenant, not only with each other, but
Yeah.
with him individually,
mhm,
and then as a
mhm,
couple also. So,
mhm,
because when I pray, I ask for him to cover us individually, but also to cover us as a couple.
yeah,
And just because I feel like my faith is as strong as it's ever been, I feel like her faith is as strong as it's ever been, doesn't mean that we aren't human. We
Mhm.
still are made of the flesh, and we still are weak in some areas and some points.
mhm,
And so that's a everyday occurrence. Like
Yeah.
I
yeah,
have to pray every day, because
mhm,
any day I could walk out and my flesh could be weak, and I could have a moment, whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
right, for
mhm,
either one of us.
mhm,
And none of us are exempt from failure or slip ups or any of that. Like none of us are exempt. We constantly have to nurture that relationship, spiritually. And his
mhm,
relationship looks different than mine. And
mm,
that's another thing. Sometimes we don't always go to church together. We don't. And, some people might be like, oh, well, a church, you guys are supposed to, the man is supposed to lead and he's supposed to go to well, how do you dictate how your partner connects? Like that's, I feel like we try to manipulate people into a relationship or into connection. And for me, it's not about that. It's if the boys are giving them what they need so I can get what I need. If I'm getting what I need, I know Da'Von is getting what he needs because he's doing it differently. And so just teaching each other and teaching the boys at a young age, like it's important. Right now, I help them nurture their relationship spiritually by taking them to church. But when they get tired of a certain church, we move. We go to a different one because I truly believe in staying where you feel connected. And sometimes it's not about your connection, it's about what your kids are getting. Now, and we're seeing that residual play out in the house. Our kids are prayer warriors. They go to God before they come to us. That's kind of what we want to teach them. Like, we're going to fail you, but God is always going to be there for you. And that is one person you will always be able to count on, his love for you. So even when mommy and daddy can't give it to you, who can give you what you need right now? Like, and really teach them to lean on that more so than you, individuals and people, because it really, people are imperfect and they will fail you. And it's not a matter of, if, it's when and how you bounce back from that. So those generational curses that you were referring to, man, that's a hard road for us, but with God's foundation, like, we're doing it.
Yeah, listen, I mean, y'all already said I don't even really think I got anything to add to that, just because, I mean, we talk about here on GSL all the time, like how important it is to, especially as parents, to be leading and training our children in the way it should go. And we can see what that looks like to not do that all around us, and so to, hear your children are already praying and here they're already, again, seeking the Lord and things of that nature, that is a beautiful thing. And so, regardless of how you guys are, handling the situation about fellowship and all that different type of stuff, again, different households and couples and stuff, they got different things going on. Like, some people, they'll live like in two different tiny homes right next to each other. People, I mean, no one can dictate to you, I guess, what is a successful marriage or what yours should look like or whatever the case may be. I feel like if it's rooted and grounded in the word of God, then the other stuff, find that way to work that out amongst you too, and then, hey, it seems to me, I feel that the Lord is working really through you all. I mean, obviously together as a family, and again, you have already told me about this awesome ministry that He has birthed in you guys. So I would love to, if we want to take some time to talk about, like, the inspiration behind you getting Chameleon Love together and things like that, and maybe some things that we can look out for as you guys work on this ministry.
Yeah, so I'll start with how it came into conception. So Chameleon Love, like I said, it was birthed out of the toughest season of our marriage, back in 2018. So just kind of leading up, let me kind of set that up for you. I'll make it quick. So in 2018, in June of 2018, she lost her job. I lost my job. We both were laid off. And so it's June 2018. Neither one of us have a job. We have a 4-year-old. We have a 6-month-old. And, oh, by the way, we found out we're pregnant. Now, so you can kind of imagine the kind of tension that will be going on. Neither one of us have a job. We got a baby on the way. We got a baby, and we got a 4-year-old. So it's like, okay, a whirlwind of emotions, thoughts, and feelings and things are going on. We never lost faith. That's first and foremost. We never lost faith. However, naturally, as humans, you start to wonder. You start to think. She ends up getting a job, thankfully, so that at least brings some income into the house. But I end up, fast forward into 6 months, I end up being out of job for 6 months. And so while she's working, I'm out of job. I'm trying to find one, interviewing and stuff like that. But it took 6 months to get there. So I'm taking care of our 6-month-old, and
Stay-at-home dad.
Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home dad. Now, I say it was birthed out of our toughest season that wasn't the toughest season. To be completely transparent, the toughest season was we had a pact. We made a pact. We said, okay, if you get pregnant, then we'll get an abortion, right? And so that was our pact. She got pregnant. She didn't want to get an abortion. I had said I was going to get a vasectomy. I also didn't get my vasectomy. So we got two things that I said I was going to get a vasectomy. I didn't do it, or I was going to do it. I just pushed it off. So essentially, I didn't do it. She said she was going to get an abortion. She now has second thoughts about it. She don't want to do it. So, you know, I felt some type of resentment. She felt some type of resentment. And so there was a force just kind of pushing against each other. And that caused a lot of friction in the house. We went probably 2 months without really talking, barely talking to each other in those 2 months. Now we got a newborn and we got a 4-year-old. So we would have to talk based on whatever their needs were. But for the most part, we didn't really talk to each other. But in that 2 months, God woke me up out of my sleep at 4:30 in the morning. And it was like a light bulb. And I was like, I woke her up. I said, hey, I got an idea. I got a name for it. It's called Chameleon Love. She was like, okay, well, what? First of all, why are you even talking to me? Because we ain't talking anyway. So. Why are you even talking to me? Secondly, what the heck is Chameleon Love? So, you know, I went into explaining to her what was given to me as what Chameleon Love is for. And basically the initial reasoning was that Chameleon Love was you need to love people the way they need to be loved versus the way you want to love them and the way you think you should love them. So typically we love people how we want to be loved. And that's not necessarily the correct way. In my eyes, that's not the correct way. Like we should love them according to how they need to be loved. And with that, as they change, because every 3 to 5 years we change as a person or after every major life event, as they change, we have to learn how to love them as they change. So I can't love her the same way as I loved her prior to our first kid. I can't love her the same way after our second kid, after the third kid, after, you know, she's healed. You know, I have to continuously be a student of her and continuously have the desire to learn and then put that into implementation. And so that was the concept of Chameleon Love at its rarest form. So, and then we started a podcast. Again, we would be going to the studio to our podcast, not saying not one word, get on the mic, say whatever we need to say, get off the mic, not say one word, going back home. Like we were in it, but we started eventually coming out of that. And started coming out of that, and then we started thinking about, well, what can Chameleon Love be? God didn't give me that. He didn't wake me up out of my sleep at 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning for no reason. So it has to be a reason. Yeah. And so, you know, we just been continuously building different things, doing different things, thinking about different things. And then, you know, we was like, man, like we really got into our gifts. Like, what is our spiritual gift? And, you know, our gifts aren't for us. They're for other people. And so I was like, well, we have a testimony. We've been through a test. You can't have a testimony without a test. So we've been tested. I'm like, okay, we have a story. I'm like, okay, we have knowledge and wisdom that we can teach people from what we've learned from our experiences. I'm like, okay, why don't we coach people? And so it kind of grew into like a life coaching, relationship coaching deal. So we became certified relationship coaches and we got our website and, you know, just putting things in place to do, you know, teaching workshops and speaking engagements and so forth. And so that's kind of where we are now. We're moving full steam into, you know, coaching, into speaking engagements, into workshops. Eventually there are going to be some more things that comes down the pike with Chameleon Love. But for right now, this is where we are.
Yeah. And I think to expand on where with Chameleon Love, I think the coolest thing about all of this is that when you're coming together, I think a lot of us, when you get married, try to figure out, okay, what does being one look like? You either have to overextend yourself for your partner or they overextend themselves for you, right? But for us, the cool thing with Chameleon Love is we've been able to separate ourselves. They really understand that being one doesn't mean that I don't operate in my gift and you don't operate in yours. So Chameleon Love allows us to be to cover different territory. I think Da'Von has a gift to connect with women and men and to be able to navigate, help people navigate those areas. And for me, it's really about therapy and self-love because I didn't love myself and learning what that looks like and family and friendship and sisterhood and so if you
Mm,
think about it, we bring all of these areas together to create this beautiful thing that we're able to operate differently yet as one collectively.
mm,
And so really I think our marriage has, if I could describe it as anything, being broken individually in order for us to be able to thrive collectively is really what why Chameleon Love is here.
mm, mm. Wow. Like, well, first I gotta say thank you for the transparency in regards to, sharing the part of your testimony that, maybe again the dark season, the maybe darkest moments in your marriage, whatever case may be. I know the conversation of abortion and whatnot is huge. There's people on different sides of the coin and fence and whatnot, even believers, as we can see here and even this conversation. But um I think I appreciate the fact that you share that side of the story because Brother Devon, because again I do feel like this is another thing that men are being left out of the conversation in and whatnot. And so we had a gentleman that basically I wanted to do a panel discussion. We actually ended up doing it afterwards, but the first time I wanted to talk about abortion, I had you know put it out to the panel like, hey guys, come, ladies, gentlemen, let's talk about this X, Y, and Z. And only one guy showed up that night. But I felt like again, even that was a divine thing to hear a male's perspective on it. And he was somebody that did go forth with in his younger years and whatnot. And obviously it's something that he I guess regretted to share a part as a part of his testimony and things like that. So I don't know. I don't want to tap too deep if if it's too much or something like that. But I guess I would love to just hear how you all feeling now about like things playing out the way they have. And I mean, like I said, I what I'm seeing is your beautiful, thriving family. You know what I mean? And but I don't want to put no words in y'all's mouth, to say, how you all feel about the outcome and the way things panned out. And obviously the other child that was birthed through that
Yeah,
situation of Chameleon Love, and everything
yeah.
like that. And I would love if y'all have any other things to add to that part of the conversation. I would love to give you an opportunity to.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't imagine us not having him right now, right?
Mhm.
And it's been a journey for me. It's been quite the learning experience for me. Like
Mm.
that's my dude. He's my biggest troll. He's a true mama's boy, which
Mhm.
I guess rightfully so. God, like, well, you ain't want him initially, so I'm gonna just make him a mama's boy. but
That
um,
probably makes them sick
but
sometimes.
I
It make
mean,
me sick.
it's all good. I got one and a half
Oh,
daddy
you
boys,
have one.
so it's
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Ooh.
But but
Look, is your family pressuring you about when's the girl and all
oh
that? Because
no, I'm
my
done.
family's
I went and got that vasectomy I was telling you about. Yeah, I went and got that yeah. Before he was
See,
oh,
born,
that's
while she was still pregnant, I went and
yeah.
got that done. I had to make sure,
Well, you made a bold comment
yeah. But
about yeah.
anyway, so but no, I can't imagine our family without him. Like, you know what I'm
mm,
saying? Like that's our little dude. He's so smart, he's so freaking handsome. And he's my biggest troll, but I've had to really work my tail off
For
to
his
to
relationship.
have a relationship with him because our
Yeah.
relationship initially wasn't that strong. Like
mm,
it was like he was all about mama and wasn't really about daddy. And then there was a point where we moved from Charlotte to Georgia 3 years ago, and so I left. I moved initially to get everything set up for them to come, and it took six
mm,
months. And so during that 6 months, I didn't see them a whole lot. And so
mm,
I'm like, well, dang, that doesn't help because now I don't really see him. So I'm like, dang, is he gonna forget me? I'm going through all these emotions and stuff like that. And
mm,
so when they finally moved here and I had everything set up and ready for them to move, it was like then the work was on. Like I literally have had to work through, how I talk to him, how I speak him, the tone that I use, like, just trying to be more patient with him and be more involved and present with him as opposed to just being on my phone all the time while he's around. I'm playing with him, I'm helping with his homework, like I'm doing more involved things and working harder than I had to work for the other two. Like I didn't have to work that hard for them. They were naturally daddy's boys. Him, I had to work. And now I'm starting to see the dividends of my work and it's starting to pay off a little bit. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't mean that I let up, but at least now I see some fruit from the labor. And so to go back and directly answer your question, like I can't imagine not having three sons. Like I take pride in having three boys. Like I'm like, man, God really gave me the responsibility to raise three black boys in this world. And I got so much to offer and so much to teach them. And I take pride in that. It's a very prideful thing for me to talk to people and I'd be like, yeah, I got three boys. Like, and everybody always look at me saying like, man, like, how'd you do that? How you get this? I'm like, I don't know. It was just in the cards for me. That's what God designed for me to lead. And you know what? I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability. So yeah.
Awesome. Do you have anything to share in regards to this, sister?
Yeah, you know what?
Leave you out.
No, sis, I mean, to see him in this place with our youngest is such a beautiful thing because I say it all the time to parents. If I could say anything, when you have a baby, when our children are babies, that relationship is a given. They need you. But as they grow, you have to earn it. And if you are not intentional about earning that relationship with your child, it's not going to be what you want it to be. And so I see him earning that relationship, him making that time, him, going to therapy, being a better person for both of us. If we are completely transparent, I suffer from a lot of depression with my first. So my friction with our children would be with my first. It was that relationship was a very hard relationship for me. And with postpartum, with depression, with just all the things, I gifted those things to my child and I started to see them take effect on his life. And so Da'Von came to me one day and was like, you got to fix it. If you don't fix this relationship right now with him, this is not going to be a good situation for us. And so we were basically encouraging each other at different phases in parenthood with the relationships with our kids. And so to see my relationship with our oldest now coming full circle and really, him telling me he loves me and Da'Von coming back and saying, babe, you're doing a great job with that relationship. And me being able to see his, hard work paying off, like, yeah, you're doing a great, job with that relationship. So to see like how intentional we've been as parents, but more so intentional about our own self-worth and self-love so that we can really give our kids what they need and really meet them where they are, not where we want them to be, or not where they want to be, just, being able to meet them in love. And so to see this full circle is such a, like, God, you're so amazing. But if we didn't have the intention, if we weren't intentional about this, we wouldn't be where we are today.
And the one major thing that I love about how we're doing parenthood is that we are the parents that we would have loved to have.
Yeah.
And that's no knock on our parents. That's not to say that they didn't do the best they could with what they had.
Right.
We, like I said, we both grew up in broken homes. So my mom had three boys. Her mom had four kids. So, essentially operating in a single mentality, in a single capacity, trying to raise multiple kids is very difficult. I've seen her do it. And that's no knock to her. Like she did the best job that she could at that time.
With what she had.
And I understand. But man, to be able to give my children what I didn't get is a blessing. And that's how I know, go back to what you said, breaking generational curses and doing things differently I'm freaking excited about seeing my kids grow and develop and see what they become, see who they become,
Man, I know there's so much I can sit here and be talking to you all about. I mean, first of all, we gotta hear about this middle child because I mean, y'all ain't leaving him out.
LC, we call him Love
Yeah,
Child.
we call him
him
Love
Love
Child.
Child. He's the only child that we planned, the only
Oh,
thing we planned,
And he shows
and
it.
he shows
Now
it.
he is a true daddy's boy. He's a
Absolutely,
true daddy's
yeah,
boy. He looks like me, acts like me,
through and through.
all of that, through and through.
oh,
Yeah,
But he loves his parents, and
together.
he's probably the only one that comes almost every day, and he'll hug both of us, and he'll be like,
At the same time,
come on in, guys, come
like,
on, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in.
oh,
So
I
Yeah,
that's
love it.
LC, and that's our, we call him Love Child. Like all of them have their different
yeah,
things that they teach us, but
Mm,
together collectively, they teach us what it means to show up
mm,
and that you can be presently absent. And so we try to make sure that we are not those parents.
yeah.
We are
mm,
presently present, and it is,
Now we fall short,
yeah,
and
yeah,
but what we're teaching our kids though is to speak freely,
yeah,
be
mm,
respectful, but speak
mhm.
your mind. Like I don't want to stifle their voice. That's what we got when we were younger. That was the generation that we
Okay.
were in. You better shut up. You better not talk back. You better not say. You better not disagree. Any of that
yeah.
stuff.
Mm.
You don't
Nah,
have
Better
if
not
any
you
looking like you're finna say something.
no emotion.
I'm like, no, if you don't agree with me,
You can
then
respectfully disagree.
tell me what's your grievance? Why do you disagree with what I said? Like, and it's not every single thing. Sometimes it's just, hey, daddy said put your coat and your shoes on, put your coat and your shoes on. I'm not gonna debate you on that. But
Yeah.
if it's something that's more thoughtful, then I'm gonna ask. And they'll tell you, like, if we're on our phone, we pick up our phone, by habit. We grab our phone, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Sometimes. And if it's their time, they be like,
Be
can
like,
you put your phone down, please,
yeah,
dad?
no phone here.
No phone. I'm
No phone.
like, okay, you got
I'm
it. You
like,
right.
oh,
You
okay.
right. Like I don't mind saying, you know what, you right. Daddy was in the wrong.
Mhm.
We mess up too. I don't want them to look at
Yeah.
me as perfect, never mess up. Like, nah,
Yeah,
mom and dad mess up all the time. And if you catch us slipping, then hey, you got my permission as long as you're respectful about it to tell us, hey, dad, you mind putting your phone down?
yeah. And we do
Okay.
a lot of that family time. So when it's family time, we are not on electronics and stuff like that. Like it's really engaging and enjoying each other's presence. And so that's what it is about for us. It's like presence over presence. So it's like,
Mm,
the
mhm,
tangible versus the intangible. You can't
mhm,
put a dollar amount or a price tag on presence, on just being there. And
On time.
mhm,
so on
Yeah.
time, we think we have all this time, and we don't know when our time is expires. And so for
mhm,
us, it's really about showing up and being intentional about the presence that we give to our kids, because we know these years are going by so fast, even though they feel like a million years long.
Yeah.
um like they
mhm,
never end. But at the end of the day, they're growing up, and they're growing up fast, and they're not
mhm,
necessarily going to do everything that we say, but they're definitely going to do what we do. So we are trying to teach them differently, by
mhm,
showing them differently. And it's not the easiest thing, you know.
mhm.
Grace
Yeah.
and space.
Listen, man, all of this is just amazing right now. I think again, both of you all are definitely welcome to come on back. I think we got some collaborations and whatnot to do in the future and stuff
For sure.
because I'm loving everything that you guys have going on. I know I can sit here and talk to y'all all day, so I just gotta wrap it up at some point, right? But um, so I guess with that being said, feel free, if there's anything else you would like to share here on GSL for your first time, because look, I feel like y'all coming back. I
Oh
don't know.
yeah, for
I
sure.
feel like y'all coming back. Who knows, man? New show on the channel. Well, I don't know. We're gonna see what the Lord do, but
Whatever
you
you
know,
Yeah, whatever you need.
listen, we're
You
gonna
got it.
see what the
You
Lord
got
do.
it.
And plus, y'all right there. We could have did this in person. One of these days I'm gonna have a studio again. But anywho,
until then, we're gonna work it
yeah,
out.
yeah. If there's
Yeah.
anything else you all would like to share before you leave, definitely share. Where people can find you and your
Yeah.
information and stuff like that. Feel
So
free.
our website, definitely check out our website. Again, we do relationship coaching, we do life coaching, conflict resolution, leadership coaching, family coaching, individual coaching,
Friendship.
friendship, all of that stuff, all of the coaching, right? So you can go to chameleonlove.org, chameleon like the animal, chameleonlove.org. You can check out my social media is Von_Tough. That's VON_TUFF. That's on Instagram. Chameleon Love 5 is our TikTok, and Chameleon Love podcast is it Chameleon? No, Chameleon Love channel on YouTube. And then we also have Chameleon Love podcast that she takes care of.
Yeah, take care of that piece. I'm sliding on in there. So Chameleon Love, our podcast is just getting started again. We with the self-love and all of those areas, I'm finding my zone in that. And so we have a lot of up and coming things that they will be able to see on Chameleon Love channel. So we are Da'Von and Jennifer Heath on Facebook. I am Jenny Grind on Instagram, and we're looking forward to just showing people how to win in love. There is an organization from corporately to individually, organizations, colleges, anything. We do presentations just to get those things, help people to stay on track and winning in love. And we want people to win in every area of their lives. So let us know how we can help.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for visiting. And like I said, you guys are welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much for having us. You let us know. We ready.
Yep. Anytime.
Thank you so much for watching the GSL Talk Show, and thank you to brother Da'Von and sister Jennifer. I hope that you guys enjoyed this conversation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and check out their platform and everything they have going on with Chameleon Love. Have a good night.